I used to hate your guts, you know that, don't you?
You told me often enough.
Now you're about the only man in this town I can trust.
Gosh, Bradbury, I didn't know you cared.
It's just that you're the only guy I know walking around without a magic wand up his ass. I got vampires in West Hollywood, salamanders coming out of the fire hydrants in Santa Monica. Black rain, red rain, hail the size of your fist.
Magic is the way of the future. Wouldn't want to buck the future, would you, Bradbury?
This is the future. I'll take vanilla. I could use some help.
I'm an independent contractor now.
You could come back. Department has got no beef with you. Never had.
Sorry. I like being my own boss.
You got any dissatisfied customers?
Some people like me better than other people.
But who doesn't like you enough to cast runes in your direction?
Haven't a clue.
Grimaldi says you were with the skirt.
Daughter of a client of mine.
Client got a name? Phil, this doesn't have to be a trip to the dentist. Like I say, we got no beef with you. Fella's partner goes bad, goes on the take, that happens. You are square with us. Just because Harry Boyd...
I don't need a history lesson.
Someone's throwing lesser demons at you. Black magic from the pit of Asagoth, and you don't even carry a rabbit's foot.
I can handle it.
Well, I'm not worried about you, Phil. I'm worried about the people who might get in the way. Have it your way. I can use the overtime.
I am from beyond. Listen, and all you desire will be yours. Welcome to Spider-Dan and the Secret Balls. Prepare for Prattle.
Well, Danny boy, them plates of alcohol and from glen to glen, went down the mountainside. That summer's gone, when all the roses are falling. Dead you must go, this you must go, but I must buy.
Welcome to Prattle World. I am your host, the ever-amazing, ever-spectacular Spider Dan. And in this podcast, I spotlight entertainment's best-kept secrets that a mainstream audience may find boring. And welcome to Danny B Movies, where I introduce a guest and or myself to a cult movie. And today, I have a super dummy. And that's not an offensive term. I'm not calling him a super dummy. But if he takes it to heart, what am I going to do? But this is what he's called himself. He's given himself this nickname. It is Super Dummy Paul, or Paul DeMac. Which would you prefer?
Probably today, let's go with Super Dummy. But let's set that out straight away.
Steer into that skid.
Yeah, let's go for that, and then no one will be disappointed.
Well, you're well prepared. You're more prepared than I am because you have watched this film 3 times. I have. Yes. Yeah, 3 and a tiny bit because then I did fall asleep in one of the occasions. So yeah. Fair enough. But that's more a reflection of me than the movie, though. I will say that. you've had a tough time of it, so I understand. So this is the second installment of Wizard Month, and what a wonderful time it's been already. But we are here to talk about a HBO movie, a made-for-television movie, Cast a Deadly Spell from 1991. So I'm going to give Paul the unenviable task of trying to sum up a synopsis, if you will, of this film. Is that something you think you'll be able to do? What makes me laugh is that a week ago I thought, oh shit, he's going to say that to me. And then I didn't prepare at all. So well done me. I think the best way to describe this film is a George Lucas style opening crawl that this movie has. Los Angeles, 1948. Everyone uses magic. That's it. That's all you get. That's all you're having. That's all you need. To be fair, that is all you need. Everyone uses magic. This is a film noir, crime noir, Harry Potter, Wizarding World, demon, everything, I think. Kitchen sink. They throw it all in. They throw it all in. Yeah, definitely. Cthulhu. Necronomicon. Goblins. Yes. Gargoyles, zombies, witches, vampires. Unicorns. Werewolves.
Yes.
Literally everything has been thrown at the screen in this film. So yeah, I think it's kind of like LA Confidential meets The Evil Dead in a way.
Oh, I like that. I was going with Columbo meets The Walking Dead, but yeah, I think yours is probably...
There might be a little bit more Lovecraftian sprinkles.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe In the Mouth, like LA Confidential or LA Noir, if you played that video game, meets kind of In the Mouth of Madness as well. I don't know if you've seen that one.
I haven't.
No, that's a John Carpenter one with Sam Neill. If you're looking for an interesting one, that is definitely fucking weird. Definitely on that weird wheelhouse that he has. It's in his, I think they call it the Apocalypse trilogy, which is The Thing, Prince of Darkness, and In the Mouth of Madness. So that's his kind of Lovecraftian little trilogy there. It's obviously they're very thinly linked, and it's more of a thematic trilogy. But I like those films. I think Prince of Darkness is probably my least favorite, but even that has got some cool stuff in it as well because it's John Carpenter. But
can't go wrong.
But yeah, so we have this. What I love about this film is I think it does world building really well. I think you get not only are you introduced to the noirish elements and the kind of private eye, gumshoe type stuff, but also you get these kind of little sprinkles in the background of people using magic. So they're like levitating a file towards them, or kids are blowing up tires in the street. Like they're just like little nice touches. Again, they don't necessarily add to the main plot or story, but it does inform that world where literally everybody is a wizard. Every fucker is a wizard. You don't have to be born a wizard. It is something everybody uses, apart from H.P. Lovecraft, who is the main character. So it's Harry Philip Lovecraft. So it's not Howard Philip Lovecraft like the author who created all the Lovecraftian stuff and the Cthulhu mythos and all that other stuff. But he is actually named after, obviously, there's quite a few like knowing kind of references, like the Dunwich Club is obviously a reference to some of his work as well. But yeah, it's really, really cool to see all those kind of interplay. Did you think that they kind of blended the two together, noir elements and the Lovecraftian elements?
I think they really did. I'm not big on my Lovecraftian knowledge. As I say, super dummy. Prepare yourself. This is going to be hot takes of a 5-year-old. This, I think what you said there is really fitting of this film. There is so much little subtle differences and things and everything going on in the background that it kind of warrants watching a few times, because they could have easily gone full comedy, but they didn't. Yeah. They just have, there's little things here and there that if you pay attention to, you're going to love. They could have gone in all sorts of directions, but it's just blended so well into a mishmash of genres, which usually if you would say to someone, it's all these things together, they would go, nah, mate.
Yeah.
I ain't watching that.
Yeah, you just think, what weird bunch of things to throw together. But I actually do think I've looked up like the main kind of thematic, basically the key themes in both noir and Lovecraft and the Lovecraftian kind of story, those kind of cosmic horror stories. So,
and you said you didn't do any research. Oh.
Very, very quickly this afternoon, I've done a fair bit. I always say I've done no research, but actually, I probably
sat on the toilet.
You say that, you would be surprised. So, like the noir themes here, I've quoted a website. I don't know what the website is, but I can always find it again. So, noir themes and moods include despair, paranoia, nihilism, an atmosphere of claustrophobic entrapment, a nightmarish sense of loneliness and alienation, a purposelessness fostered in part by feelings of estrangement from one's own past, even as one seems to be driven to a compulsive confrontation with that past.
Have you been reading my diary again?
It's mine. We share the same diary. We are both writing in the Necronomicon. Oh. And then the Lovecraftian themes are Lovecraft's work emphasizes the themes of cosmic dread, forbidden and dangerous knowledge, madness, non-human influences on humanity, religion and superstition, fate and inevitability, and the risks associated with scientific discoveries. So I think actually they are fairly fitting. And I have noticed there's quite a few, like I played a video game, I think called The Sinking City, which kind of combines a lot of that stuff, the detective work and the Lovecraftian mythos. So I do think they blend quite well, like thematically. But again, I think it takes a special touch to actually do that visually on the big screen. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this could have easily been a mishmash of disgustingness, trying to squeeze all those things in together. But I think the setting has really pushed it in the right direction. The way that they use the old-style crime narration and all this sort of stuff, I think it gives you enough of a look into the world that you can then accept all, as you say, all the little pieces that are going on in the background, and they don't just blast you in the face with something.
Yeah.
It's so well done, I have to say. If I was wearing a hat, hats off to them, because, yeah, it is really well done, and it requires a couple of watches, because the first time I watched it, let's just say my attention was not fully engrossed.
Sure. No, that's understandable. And like even I think you might have noticed stuff because of your multiple watchings that I've probably missed just on the one. But I have to say, I thought it was a lot of fun. It was, again, neither of us had seen this film before. I've discovered it through my again, mountains of research that I do to find something unique and different from all the other stuff I'm covering this Wizard month. And I think this is very unique. And I think what you were saying there with, they start you off with the familiar. Like they obviously like that little opening crawl or opening sentence. Let's call it that. Everybody uses it's LA 1948. So that kind of sets the scene. You know what that is. You kind of get it's that kind of noir time, that post-war time. It's LA. So it's, it's a bit rough. It's like Black Dahlia and, all this other stuff going on at the time. Some lot of dodgy people knocking about. And I think that's that to its benefit. It starts there, and it really grinds you. It grinds you.
Oh, this is becoming different.
I mean, some people are getting grinded. They're grinded up in a meat grinder.
Well, yes.
What I will say is, even though there is a lot of kind of kooky humor, like there's a gargoyle at one point that kind of shrugs and kind of like does like a weird little dance and things. There is that kind of odd stuff, and I'm not sure if that. The humor necessarily, that kind of goofier humor blends that well with the rest of it. But I will say that some of the deaths in this are absolutely fucking brutal. Like there's a guy who dies, he gets burned, and then he gets like 1 million paper cuts. And I was like, fucking hell. And then later on, there's a big a set piece in a kitchen where this kind of cursed rune goes into like a cooking pot with a chicken or something.
Like
and then
stew. Your average stew, and then all of a sudden
Lovecraftian portal opens and this thing comes out, kills this guy. Again, really bloody, really insane, really mental. And you're like, and I think because like I was saying, it's grounded you in that familiarity with the noir aspect, because we've all seen a noir or a neo-noir. We all know what that's kind of about. And even if it's set back in those days, like Devil in a Blue Dress or something like that, this does that. And I think because you do that and it's played, straight for the most part, then when you come to the crazier stuff and the weirder elements and the batshit insane ending, it's kind of it's kind of not so weird, because you've had all that time with these characters, you've got to know them and how they tick. I thought it was a fantastic bit. I like you said, it's a balancing act, isn't it? I think they do it expertly with those two, again, very disparate elements, but also quite similar as well thematically. And I think it really, really works. Yeah,
it's interesting you didn't like the sort of the humor side of it, some of the kooky humor. I maybe that's just who I am, but I think it helped take some of the edge off, because it's not in your face as well. Like there's a running joke about his tie and a running joke about the business cards.
I love
and
that.
It's utterly pointless.
Utterly
pointless, but it's great. It's just that little thing that kind of, it takes the edge off some of the weirdness. And I think I don't know if it's like just constantly slightly distracting you so you don't actually realize what ridiculous thing you're watching. It's just, you're like, what is this? And then it's just taps you on the shoulder. And you're like,
I don't know. Like, I think it's just, I think some of the gags don't land as well, but I don't know if maybe that was, I quite like the kind of the dialogue, the humor in the dialogue, the humorous dialogue, or the one-liners and the witty comebacks. I think I preferred those, that form of humor. But yeah, some of the other stuff, I was like, does it work? Does it not work? But again, if we're talking like Evil Dead or Reanimator, those Lovecraftian films are full of fucking goofy humor. And I think you're right though, because Lovecraftian, the idea of a Lovecraftian, there's something just beyond the veil. It's not a nice god. It's not a benevolent god. It is pure evil that will drive you insane. Like if you just scratch the surface, beyond that is pure madness and gods that are so huge and so powerful they don't even care about you. It's a nothingness. That's the scary thing. I think probably the goofy humor does help offset that a little bit as well, because like a lot of Lovecraftian stuff is quite serious and can be quite dour and depressing in some circles, depending which one you watch. And yeah, I think maybe actually on second thought, the humor does kind of work, but I think not all of those jokes land as well as they could, I think.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. There's some of them you've like, yeah, okay. But I think there's enough that do that I was about to say something so condescending. It was worth a try. Well done. It was worth a try.
Why thanks, Paul. I brought you on. I took the time out. I've given you this film, given you access to it. And you're still like, yeah, I guess it was all right.
Oh my.
No, it's fine. No, we have to be critical about these things. Like, again, you and I have only just watched this, and there's a lot to enjoy about it. It absolutely will not be everyone's cup of tea.
Oh,
I guarantee 100% not everybody's going to get into this. No. I imagine most kind of, if you show that, you said your wife didn't particularly take to this either.
Oh, but she didn't really even start watching it. So that was never going to happen.
Yeah, and that's fair. Like everyone's different. Everyone's got an opinion, and they don't have to. Nobody has to love it or anything. Yeah, we both could have absolutely hated this. We could have absolutely despised it. But I have to say, so first of all, let's start off with the direction. Martin Campbell of GoldenEye, Casino Royale, Vertical Limit, No Escape, and Green Lantern. But we don't talk about that one. We don't talk about that one. A lot of studio interference. It's Warner Brothers. There's bound to be studio interference. That's all they ever do. They're like, oh yeah, this movie. This is a good movie. This, yeah. Let's fuck it up. Yeah, great movie. Let's just watch me fuck it up for you.
Yes, I haven't ruined a film for a while. Let me get my teeth into this.
Let me ham fist a Joker cameo into your latest Batman film. Just fucking ham fist. Spoilers for the Batman.
Yeah.
But again, they fucking released that other deleted scene with him in as well before even the home release was out. Warner Brothers, what are you doing?
Yeah.
The best thing you've done, the Batman is very good, don't get me wrong, but I'm really enjoying Peacemaker. I think they should do more stuff like Peacemaker. Like that's definitely what they should be doing. See that. Oh, you should definitely get on.
I'm so behind in everything.
Me too, mate. Me too. I'm not one. You know me. I'll go. Oh, I really should watch this new show everyone says is great. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to watch a film from the 1970s, which is possibly crap,
but maybe amazing.
Yeah, that as well. So, but yeah, Martin Campbell back on.
Yes. Anyway,
on
topic.
We're on topic. I've had my moan now. I've had my moan. DC Comics. Who knows what the Flash is going to turn into now? They're talking about getting rid of Ezra Miller as well. So, who knows what they want to do?
Yeah.
I just feel like every publicist or spin doctor, every time a celebrity does something, or like, oh, fuck, why did you do that? Why did you slap Chris Rock? What's he doing? Oh, and it's just like, and it always seems to be these big name actors that are with these like, DC or Marvel properties that are very big right now. It's always like, oh, what controversial thing have they done now?
Yeah.
It's one of them, unfortunately. But anyway,
every time you get a news alert from one of these websites and it says Warner, oh god,
here we go. Here we go again. Delays movies.
Yes.
But yeah, I've talked about that on my BVS podcast enough. I'm not going on again. So Martin Campbell, talented filmmaker, brilliant guy. And you can actually, this is before he did any of those things. This is way before he did No Escape. This is way before GoldenEye. And you can see the talent there, the production value on this TV movie. Obviously, HBO usually have a bit of money behind them. And it really does show. I think it's a wonderful, it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it's again, the world building, the reality, the realization of that, making all of these kind of elements work together. You've got some quality actors in there, a great score as well. Special effects are practical, which I like as well. There's not many that are kind of digital or in any way. But I think you can see where he's going. I think you can see people are like, let's keep an eye on this guy. Maybe not this particular story or script, but this guy, he knows what he's doing. He can make things happen.
Yes, and boy did he. Yeah, as you say, HBO likely would have had a bit more money than your run-of-the-mill sort of TV film. But you could easily see this having equal footing with cinema releases of the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it actually, as I say, first watch, slightly phased out. It didn't occur to me to begin with that it was a HBO. And that actually came as a bit of surprise when I sort of realised. I was like, oh, interesting. The quality, you can't, for what was available, I'm just rambling now. This is good. For what was available to him, to get this much out of it, it's impressive. And it's no wonder he went on to do the amazing things he did.
Absolutely. There's definitely magic on screen, literally and figuratively.
Oh, very good. I see what you did there.
See? Not my first podcast, sir. Not my first podcast. But there's something that, again, I think he's the glue that sticks all of this together. I think without Martin Campbell on this film, I think it probably would have been a poorer film for it. Just like we said, the fact that 95% of this works is a testament to Martin Campbell and his talent. And again, like we said, he is huge success now. And people go to him and they go, yeah, we liked your James Bond. Do you want to do another one? That so much so they brought him back. It was how many Bond directors come back? It's very rare, I think, you see that. And they were like, no, we want your vision, your take. Take it and just run with it. Do your origin story. Let's see. Everyone wants to see, James Bond have his bollocks beaten up. Everyone wants to see that. Everyone wants to see a big rope whapping into his bollocks.
Many a people's fever dream.
I'm sure there's some ladies out there which will be like, yeah, I want to beat his bollocks off. Absolutely beat his bollocks off. Billy Bollocks. There you go. I mean, one for the kids, obviously, a scene for the kids.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Very kid friendly James Bond.
McDonald's party.
Yeah, exactly. With all his aggressive sexuality in all of his films, especially the Connery ones, are they're a little bit dodgy to look back on now, and you're like, okay, not. I like the Connery films, but not that bit. Oh.
Yeah, you're slightly afraid to watch them now.
Yeah, there is something, and there's some problematic stuff in this that I'm sure we'll get onto in a little while.
Yes.
But I'm gonna give that some half a free pass because obviously it's made in the 90s, but it's set in the early 40s a little bit. But
yeah,
still, we're still going to hold it accountable for what it did. Don't get me wrong, but I think when you set something in the past, it's kind of, I think some of the language that is used and maybe, the finale, the thing that happens in the finale, which is kind of a joke, but it's also a very creepy joke. But anyway, we'll leave that for the end. We'll leave that for the end. But so we've set the world up. So we've got this world. We've got a private eye, private dick, H.P. Lovecraft. Mm-hmm. He had a former partner, used to work on the police, but his partner was on the take, who is played by Clancy Brown. who's one of my favorite actors of all time, the best Lex Luthor of all time as well, in my opinion. And basically, he is hired by David Warner, who is, again, one of my favorite actors, Shakespearean, classically trained actor. Absolutely love his voice. He was Ra's al Ghul in the animated series of Batman. Yeah, that was him, and he does a lot of voice work because of that voice, of course.
Yeah, you would, wouldn't you?
You would. But yeah, he's in it, and he does all these kind of cult films as well. You'll see him in things like Ice Cream Man, and some of the weird shit. I don't think he's one of these people that tends not to turn down a job, and I kind of respect that. As a former jobbing actor myself, I'd be like, I can play that. I can play that role. Is there money? I'm starving. So it's nice to kind of see whenever he pops into something, like be it Waxwork or Tron, whenever he pops it, he gives it like an extra bit of gravitas and a bit more oomph. There's something about him, even like something like Straw Dogs, or I'm surprised I can remember all of his films.
You're doing well. I'm quite impressed.
He's got quite a long filmography.
Did you write his IMDb page?
No, but I'm just gonna make some up. I'm just gonna make up some titles. So, An Astronaut for All Seasons. He was also starred in that in 1992. That's not a thing, but it is now. I'm gonna realize that. I'm gonna make it happen. That'll be the Mandela effect. Everyone's gonna remember that film now. It doesn't actually exist. But yeah, so he's hired, and he's hired purely because he has no interest in magic. He's the only person in this world that doesn't use magic, and he doesn't really go into it. It's implied that something has happened that has made him not want to use magic or not be involved in the kind of magical aspects of this world. He's very he keeps it quite distant. Did you want like a backstory for that, or did you like that he was because he kind of explains it a little bit?
There's a few things that this film does in that vein where it starts to explain something to you, but then doesn't really go into details. And I think it kind of works for this because it gives them depth of character, but then it doesn't bog you down in like some sort of exposition dump that, it isn't really necessary. Yeah. This is a prime example of sometimes you don't have to give out all the information. You can just hint at something and it will draw you in. You don't need to give them like a whole backstory and tell us your life story. And
I think if anything, it might have undone the world for me if they told me exactly how the world ran, like with the magic. It's kind of, I think, why aren't vampires in charge, or, these elder gods, or, what are the werewolves doing for the rest of the month when they're not, when they're not being locked up in the drunk tank by police officers, you know what I mean? Yeah. I love again, the more I think the more they would have explained, it would have ruined it. I'm glad that they keep the story. I mean, the story it's quite large in scale, but also very small in scale. It's basically the end of the world. But also it's just a small case, in LA for a private dick. And it just happens that it goes that way. But I'm glad they keep the scale small and the kind of the threat relatively small up until the end, really. I think that works to its advantage to do that. And again, it would have been more confusing. It probably would have just been like, the more detail they gave, it could have really fucked it up for them, I think. But yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, if they tried to explain everything in this film, first of all, it would be a 4-hour-long film.
Yes.
And also you would need your corkboard with pins and string at the ready. Because, it just would have got far too complicated. It would have just caused more questions than it would have answers. Yes, you are left with some questions in this, but they're not lingering in the sense of I haven't come away thinking, oh, but why? Why? I've come away thinking, oh, okay.
There's no like plot holes, I would say. No. There's nothing where I've gone, well, what the fuck happened there? Or why does that not connect? Or how do I understand this? And what's going on? And, there was never a moment where I felt lost or confused or annoyed, really, because I can get frustrated. I think I love lore. I love continuity. I'm a comic book fan, so that comes part and parcel. Yeah. Sometimes I fucking hate continuity, depending what they're fucking doing with it, or whether it's, people hold up, canon being so important when sometimes it really isn't. I'm just looking for a good story. If you can strip away the continuity and tell me a good story, that's fine as well. I don't mind adaptations. I don't mind if they're changed in a good or a bad way. I know some people have been complaining about Ms. Marvel having slightly different powers, not being all stretchy. I like that character, but I'm not particular. I don't need to see her stretchy necessarily.
Just for fun, maybe. But
yeah, sure. Maybe she has a dream and she's stretchy. What about that? Then then you can see it.
There you go.
She's like, but realistically, that's my stretchy impression.
I mean, I'm glad that it's audio only because you don't need any more.
You could have screen grabbed that face that I pulled then and all the arms that I was doing. But that's for your memory. That's something for you to remember.
That is for me only, listeners. You'll never see that. Exclusive.
It's like if I got my manhood out or something. That would just be for your eyes only.
I was going to say the only other people that could see that face is people in very intimate moments with Dan. And
definitely, that's the same. It's definitely the same same face I pull. See, I can't even speak. I'm that aroused by talking about it. I can't even get words out. I like, and that's the noise. That's the noise, the face, the noise.
I've just got the whole experience now.
The arousal, you got it all. My blood's pumping, all the endorphins are going. I think it's just you being on screen, Paul, is doing weird things to me. I think that's what the case is.
Just what just what I bring to the world.
So, getting back on track somehow.
Good luck.
Let's go back. So, yes, Harry P. Lovecraft is hired to find the Necronomicon, which is obviously from H.P. Lovecraft and is in The Evil Dead, the Book of the Dead. And it has all the secrets that David Warner, but he wants it for a very specific time. He wants it midnight in, I think, 24 hours. Does he say 24 hours, I think?
Yeah.
Pretty sure he said,
midnight tomorrow, or
the following day or something.
Yeah.
So he's not giving him a lot of time.
No,
it's quite like even
here's
for
this
a detective.
very vague bit of information. And by the way, you don't have much time at all, but I demand this of you.
And he's paying. I love it because he's paying him for $40 plus expenses a day
and fuel.
And fuel. Sorry, and fuel. He's got that as well. But I love that. I love that he's still like all this mad stuff is going on, but he's still a very grounded character. It's very day by day. And then we're kind of off to the races. We meet a lot of these kind of interesting characters that, again, he knows them. He knows like Harry Borden is Clancy Brown. He's his former partner. And he's trying to get the Necronomicon as well. And he sets off his little hound dog off to kill the guy who has it, gets a fake copy. And then again, everyone's after this book and it's very important. I love as well that Harry can't pay his rent. He can't make his rent. And his landlord's like a voodoo witchcraft lady or a Haitian voodoo witchcraft lady.
With an interesting accent.
Yeah, it's colourful. I'll call it
that.
It's probably not the best accent I've heard, but it's there. It's a thing. But at least it's a very varied cast. There's a lot of diversity, a lot of things. Even in the 40s, everyone's got like a little dirty little secret. That's very noir as well. Everyone's got like a dirty little kind of secret going on. But yeah, and he kind of meets up with Julianne Moore, surprisingly, in this movie. Credited decent actress is slumming it in this movie.
Bit of a surprise when she pops up. Hello, world.
I was like, oh, okay. Like Clancy Brown, I can get David Warner, especially with the filmography I listed before. But then Julianne Moore is like, Jesus, yeah, she's in this.
Were you bored this month, or what was going on?
I had a gap in my schedule.
Exactly.
I really wanted to lip sync to a song. That was my goal this week.
Yes, that scene was particularly interesting. It had some odd moments. I think that was probably the oddest bit in a film where the oddities are quite high.
Yeah.
That scene seemed the weirdest to me. I don't know if that was just me, but it seemed kind of like we need to tick a box here, so let's just go for it. That was the only thing that I wasn't too sure about.
Yeah, I think the music. I think the music is really good and really helps again set the scene and set the time and the era. But when she is miming to the song, it's quite clearly that she's miming. She's almost overdoing it. Unfortunately, she's kind of.
Was that where he did his very, very aggressive turnaround in the chair, following the name on stage?
Yeah,
on stage, Connie Stone, and it's like. His reaction is almost like, is this your mother? I don't understand. This is a very overboard reaction. Okay, yes. It's Julianne Moore, so maybe it was just reacting to that.
We've all had that overreaction to Julianne Moore. Yeah. But yeah, it was a bit odd. I think that particular, the bits when she is singing is not great. I think the songs themselves are good, but I think her miming to the songs was it was a bit weird. Again, all the costume and all the characters and the puppets and stuff didn't take me out, but that kind of did.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, but yeah. The writer of this was actually writing a fairly popular TV show at the time called Private Eye. And that was still running until 1992, I believe it finished. So I think they probably got the right person in to kind of get those noirish elements and ground the story. And then again, it was probably interesting for him because he got to sprinkle the Lovecraftian elements throughout and the lore as well. So I think again the noir elements are really, really strong. Yeah. And again, just let you buy into that world and the weirder shit as well. But yeah, it's an interesting film to say the least.
The setting that they create is solid. I mean, even right from the beginning, you have the dodgy accent right at the start, but then it goes into just a normal private dick situation, and the lady punches the police detective, and it's like, what, you've never been hit by a dame before? And it's just that immediately you're there, you're set. And then, straight after that, there's a casual use of magic. And it's like, okay, done.
And speaking of James Bond, it is kind of like a James Bond beginning because he's coming off the end of one case and going straight into the other. Like, so there is that kind of, I can see those kind of the linkages to his future. And again, that he does that in GoldenEye and sort of does that in Casino Royale as well. There's that kind of training and stuff he does. It's great. I don't know if we can go too much into the mystery of it without spoiling it too much. But there is a guy who's a former chauffeur of David Warner's character, and he has the book, and he's trying to sell it. He's trying to offload it so him and his partner can leave and live a happier life. The partner has the book, but nobody knows who this is or where they can find them. And later on, we find out eventually that the partner and it's a guy's name. I think it's like Sean something that is given, and they can't find this guy. And it turns out that he's in drag, and he was the partner of the chauffeur. And he now has the book. And this is kind of where we go into the problematic stuff.
It wasn't great.
No.
We have to, Just prepare yourself for this scene.
Prepare yourself for that bit when he finds, because you see her early on and you go, okay, it's a person in drag. There's no question about it. It's not a convincing person in drag, but that's not the point. It's a person in drag, and it's a gay person. And they were in partnership with the chauffeur, who is now dead, and who gave Harry Borden, Clancy Brown's gangster character, the fake book. So everyone's looking for him. They find him. Harry finds him eventually because Julianne Moore knows him personally, or knows her. However you want to. And then he goes up to the hotel room and then basically unravels what the mystery is, what's involved, what David Warner's character is trying to do. I think it's Amos Hackshaw, I want to call him. I think that's his name.
It is indeed.
Amos.
I have a list in front of me because I'm terrible with names.
I remembered. So am I. Especially if they're very hard to say. I'm the worst at those. But there's a few of them. Yeah, there is. There's definitely is. So we learned that, and unfortunately, there's use of non-PC language for gay people, or slurs as they would be now. yeah, and he's not the person in drag is not treated particularly well by any of the villains or by the hero in this case.
Anyone, really.
By anybody, yeah. It's obviously misunderstood, and obviously that time and era is not very let's say woke as a word. And yeah, there's a bit of that where I was like, that's not so great. That's not so cool. Yeah, it was just those moments where I was like, I get what they're trying to do a little bit, but I think if Harry was a bit more sensitive, and because he's sensitive throughout, he's not a complete arsehole. He's a nice enough guy. He's a hard man. He's a hard case, and he doesn't take any shit, and he doesn't give up like his employers' names. Like the police get involved because he's attacked, and they're like, "What's going on? Why are people throwing runes in your direction? You know, we could help you out. We can be a team. You can come back to the force. We can forget everything that happened." Again, very vague stuff. And again, I like that not much is explained, because I think nowadays a lot of things are explained overtly.
You'd have a massive expedition dump of exactly this is what happened to him, and this is why he left the force, and this is why this is happening. Yeah, none of that. Doesn't bother.
No, and again, it's fine because the story is the story now. There is part of me would have liked maybe a little bit more of kind of backstory to maybe, you know, Clancy Brown's character, and like why when they were maybe they could have shown when they were partners and they broke up. But again, that might have played into why he doesn't like using magic again. The Julianne Moore stuff, I don't think I needed to see, because all of that is in the dialogue really anyway. I don't think you need to know. You just went, it was a romance, it went bad. That's all you really need to know.
Yeah, that's kind of all you need to know. There's not much more to it. Any more than that would just be kind of pointless.
Exactly. And she wants obviously the finer things in life. She cares for Harry, but he's very straight laced. He plays by the rules for the most part. You know, he's an honest guy. He's and again, he's a hero. He's you know, there's some noir characters which are very much not the fucking hero of the story. Like, and Harry is still a prickly pear, if you could describe him as such, but he's still relatively nice. Like Amos's daughter is like the 16-year-old virgin, which is again another problematic thing we can get into.
There's a whole conversation there which really shouldn't have happened.
No, but he meets her and she's, you know, he goes out of his way. Now, I don't think it was stated that she's 16 until the end. I don't remember them saying she's 16 earlier.
He does. Her dad does say it when, in the initial meeting, he says something along the lines of, she's only 16, and then... Right. And then
he creepily walks into her room when he should have left.
Yeah. I think Harry's response is something along the lines of, "Oh, so she's..." I can't remember what the word he used is. Yeah. She's like untainted or something. It wasn't that, but it made me feel equally icky about
it was definitely icky territory. Because again, like, you know, she slaps him, you know, she gives as good as she gets. They're flirting a little bit. She's under lock and key, so she's probably a bit like, you know, I could with all those hormones going off, I'd probably be the same. But yeah, there's a little bit of that, and then we'll get into the end later, which is equally just as icky. But she breaks out and goes to see Harry as well because she finds him interesting. And again, he kind of protects her, and they have to put in a police report. And she meets a young detective there as well, which again leads to the ickier stuff. But yeah, and then basically Harry is tortured by the police. The police aren't that great in this either. They're not, you know. No. They're not squeaky clean, because they're like, you know, I've got all this stuff going on. We've got red rain. We've got salamanders crawling out of the sewers, you know, werewolves, you name it. It's all happening because all these planets are aligning, aren't they? Yeah. Just in time for this event, this cosmic event that Amos Hackshaw wants to use and take advantage of.
Yes. That was a good. I like that scene because again, it was just implied. I hate to do this to you, Harry. Okay, interrogation. And you don't see any of it. It's just completely implied. And then he comes out of it a hot, sweaty mess. So one of two things has happened in there. And you don't need to know anymore. Again, it's just like, they've got the light on him. They've got the light on him. And again, they're showing it the interrogation of the werewolf. Yeah. And then it's like, right, well, this is the interrogation room. So here we go.
And the detective there, who's an actor from one of my favorite films that I've already mentioned on this podcast, The Thing. He's one of the main characters in that, and he is called Detective Bradbury, which is obviously a reference to Bradbury, the writer as well, the science fiction writer. It's obviously a little nod to him. I can't remember his first name for some reason. It's gone. Bradbury, somebody Bradbury. He's a writer. Captain Custard Bradbury.
There you go.
No,
I'm sticking with that.
Very, very influential writer.
Yes.
I've got to look at his fucking name now. Ray Bradbury. Ray Bradbury.
Oh, I was so close.
Yeah, that's it. Scientific. So it's a ray, obviously, like a ray, like a laser, like a shark with knees coming at you. That's a Mighty Boosh reference, if anybody knows, if anybody has ever watched that. So anyway, yes. So we carry on. We are going on this journey, on this kind of adventure. The young girl is returned back to the Hackshaw estate, estate, and there's, I don't know, I'm trying to remember. He gets, So when he's, I'm trying to remember the story in the right way. So
it's a bit bouncy abouty.
Yeah, he goes from one set piece to another, one scene to another, and he's got to find a little bit more information. And it's good that you are kind of getting the information. It's not a mystery. You don't have to figure it out, or the clues aren't there for you to figure out. It's not one of those. It is just like, this is the story, this is what he's finding out, and eventually it's going to lead to this. And we kind of already know this sort of stuff anyway from the earlier kind of performances and the writing. It's all kind of set up leading to the end. But again, the man in drag has the Necronomicon. Harry gets it, and the second it does, a gargoyle flies in through the window. And again, looks great, and it's quite kind of
it's amazing. It's
arresting, and it's visually interesting, and it's dangerous. You feel the tension. Again, the music is fantastic.
Yeah.
And again, there's some of that weirder humor. I think he throws like a brandy glass at him or something, and the gargoyle's like, really? Is that gonna work? Kind of shrugs it off and then kind of knocks him out. But I can't remember if they get away. Do they get away with it?
Oh, they do, in the most spectacular way ever.
How did
Harry kicks him in the nuts.
That was it. Yeah.
I mean, if you're ever going to take a gargoyle down.
I totally forgot you just kicks him square in the nuts. Oh God, what a brilliant way!
And then just runs for it.
Because I was like, how does it? I was just thinking, like, how does he defeat him? He's a gargoyle. He's a giant gargoyle. He's made of stone. How does he defeat him in a hotel room? No, kicks him in the nuts.
Yeah, the only possible way.
Kick him in the nuts. So if you're ever confronted by a gargoyle who's after a book of yours, you know exactly what to do in the future.
Advice for life.
Kick him in the non-visible nuts. Just square up in there. Everyone's got a weak spot, I guess. So everyone's got a weak point. So that's his Achilles heel, his Achilles balls.
His Achilles dangly bits.
Achilles bollocks. So he runs out, he has the book. And Julianne Moore has assisted him with this, and then obviously Julianne Moore, surprise, surprise, is a femme fatale because you can't have a noir film without a femme fatale, can you?
Absolutely.
And again, like GoldenEye has one of the best ones with Xenia on the top. Who's in GoldenEye. I think she's a genius bit of a femme fataleness, or Bond girl, whatever you want to call it, but she. A female villain, but yeah. So whatever you want to call it, it's up to you. It's late. It's late. I don't care. Say what you want. So she betrays him, gives the book to Clancy Brown, and then Clancy Brown's character Harry Borden's gonna go and give it to Amos Hackshaw for some money and to be immortal and rule over Earth, as Hackshaw's goal is to bring forth a Lovecraftian god. And one of my favorite bits of acting is that David Warner gets to read off as a huge monologue or a spell of him reading all the dialogue, like, Yog-Sothoth and Cthulhu and, Yifatan and whatever, all the kind of Lovecraftian words and stuff that.
I imagine that was the bit in the script reading where he said, "Yep, I'm doing this."
Yeah, that's me. But he's got that, he's got that delivery, and he can, he's done Shakespearean monologues
to amazing,
and it's brilliant just to hear him reel off that gorgeous with that gorgeous voice. Just anything he says, that gorgeous voice, I love. And he brings forth. What did you think of the Lovecraftian god? Spoilers, obviously, but there is a Lovecraftian god that comes through.
Well, bearing in mind, I watched this on YouTube, where the lighting on this particular copy not the best. It's very dark, very blurry. So I'm not sure.
You're not quite sure what it. Well, maybe that's a good thing though, because like with Lovecraft in his writing, he would always describe stuff as undescribable. Like that's it. It's so maddening. It's so crazy that it's undescribable. It's like the opposite of Tolkien, who describes everything. Lovecraft would be like, it's so mad and undescribable, the horror and the madness.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's probably good. It was quite blurry for you.
It's probably because I've tried watching this that particular copy. It is available on YouTube.
It is
on both my Kindle File. We're not sponsored.
No, of course not. Other tablets of other forms are available.
Indeed. And on my TV. And both times, the best way I can describe it is a big fat tarantula. That's all I got from that big blurry mess. With an alien face with included secondary alien face.
Of course. It's kind of, you're not wrong. It definitely has that kind of spider octopus, and it's kind of a bit fish-like and a bit kind of squid-like, which goes in with the Lovecraftian lore stuff. And I kind of wanted a bit more of an imposing threat. So like, well,
so did I, other than a big blurry black screen.
Yeah, that as well. There is a HD copy that I initially sent Paul. Only for me to realize that it's entirely in Spanish. So
yes.
So if you want a better look at the monster, just go to the end of that one.
Yeah,
but the other slightly less low res copy with the English is the one we've watched. So, but yeah, I have ordered the proper one because I was like, you know what, I'd like to own this. I like it. It's fun. Yeah. It does exactly what I wanted it to do. It's entertaining. Again, there's stuff that probably could have been cut, but there you go. Times have changed.
Indeed.
But yeah, I kind of wanted one that was like, I wanted like Cthulhu turns up in like South Park.
Mm.
And he's like massive. He's got the wings. He's got the, I wanted kind of something like that to burst out. Obviously, again, it's a TV budget, so it's bound to be a bit kind of minimal, but it was just a bit like, it was just like a fat slug that kind of.
It was almost like a sea lion just came out of the water and just went kaplonk.
Yeah. No, that's right. Absolutely. Yeah. It's just like, just there, and I was like, it's not really imposing, and they're like, oh my god! I was like, the gargoyle was scarier than that, or the thing that came out of the kitchen pot was scarier than that, or the werewolf, or the vampire prostitutes. This is not the first time I will mention a fantasy character prostitute in Wizard Month. Just bear in mind, it's not over yet. There's going to be fairy prostitutes, but we'll get to it. We'll get into the fairy prostitutes, and again, the fantasy fairy. We're not offending anybody. We're not being cancelled. Just making that clear. But yes, so yeah, it was a big squid, disappointing squid.
Yes.
So yes, and yeah, I don't know. It was kind of it was like a big kind of protrusion comes out. This big grabber thing comes out at the end. Because the idea is that, they kill off Clancy Brown. Spoilers again. They kill off Clancy Brown's character because Julianne Moore wants the power and the prestige, and that's what she's always wanted. And she didn't want to be. And she says, rightfully, she says, "Oh, you just think I'm his dame and his plaything. I'm gonna take over. I'm gonna be in charge." And then Amos is going to sacrifice his 16-year-old daughter to the beast to open the gateway for all the Lovecraftian elder gods to come through. I think they call them the outsiders. I think. And ickiness again.
For some reason, it doesn't work?
Why doesn't it work?
Struth.
Why does it not work?
Well, young Detective Grimaldi has apparently been spending a little bit too much time with young lady,
16-year-old.
16-year-old, not so virgin anymore.
No. And he's not so young either.
He's not so young. In fact, he's married as well.
Yes.
Much to her surprise.
Yes.
Apparently.
And again, Amos gets eaten by the creature, and Harry's just laughing. He's just like, "You old dog, are you? Oh, you old."
They're gonna do a statue in your name.
Yeah, it's like, "What have I done? Doctor my wife. What have I done? What have I done?" It's like, you had sex with her, you old rascal. It's like he's like, she's 16. She's 16. She's 16. Like, don't tell my wife I had sex with a 16-year-old. Don't tell anybody he had sex with a 16-year-old. No, because he basically.
They're going to invite you to the White House.
I kind of wish she had a little bit more agency as well, like the daughter, because she's shown to be like a good hunter and stuff. So I thought maybe we'd see her firing those arrows again, because she does it on like horseback and stuff. And she's clever. She's innocent to a point and naive to a point, but she's still got a lot of power behind her as well. And Julianne Moore as well. I think Julianne Moore gets more of that sort of stuff, unfortunately, but she's kind of almost a bit of a plot device towards the end. They do have a few scenes with her and a few moments, but not loads.
No, they make reference to her being a unicorn hunter, and the first time you see her, she's on horseback with a bow and arrow, and it could be also amazing, and she could do so many great things. And then it basically just turns into her following Harry around, going, "Oh, Harry, you're so wonderful."
Yeah.
And then, "Oh, Detective Grimaldi, you're so wonderful. You're very wonderful." Yes.
So wonderful.
Yeah. So wonderful.
Well, if you are looking, Paul, for seeing even more ickiness potentially.
I love a bit of ickiness. How did you know this about me?
I did. I knew this about you. And I was like, I chose this film specifically. No, I had no idea. I genuinely had no idea how icky it was. I just went, I've heard about this. It sounds interesting. Let's go for it. Again, I had not seen it either. And that's the kind of fun of me introducing people to these weird and random films. We can see what I think, what you think. Was it a bad idea on my part? Who knows?
No.
But this film has a sequel.
Oh, I have heard tell that there is a sequel.
It is directed, again, HBO Max or HBO film from, I think it was the following year or a couple of years later, like 95 or 94. And it's directed this time by Paul Schrader, who, again, is a very big kind of director in the Hollywood circles. And it stars Dennis Hopper as...
Grief.
As H.P. Lovecraft. So he takes over from Fred Ward, and he plays this, and it's set in the 50s. So that's why Dennis Hopper is a little bit older. Obviously, it's to kind of go. Things have changed, times have changed. I've heard it's a bit more about the communism and that whole chestnut, because it's called Witch Hunt. See what they did there? You see what they did?
Very clever, very good.
Clever.
Layers
writing.
upon layers upon layers.
So I'm quite interested. Again, that is available on YouTube if you want to give that a go.
I will.
There you go. But yeah, it's a fun film. What would you say? Would you recommend this to people? Would you?
I would recommend it to people. I would say watch it. I would also say prepare yourself, because the first time I wasn't prepared and my brain was not quite sure what to make of it. So I am glad I watched it a couple of times. And yeah, definitely, I would recommend it. Many layers, many things that you can appreciate. If you're thinking, I don't really like the magical stuff. I don't know why I went into an accent there. That's fine, because it's not really integral to it. It is, at the heart of it, just a crime story with a bit of fun around the edges.
Exactly. It's very it's peppered throughout, and there's enough of it, but it's not like here's the lore, here's the history, here's this, It just goes, oh, I've got to do this spell, I've got to do it during an alignment, got to do it at midnight, need this, da 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 da. Again, it's very much the true and tried detective story, crime thriller, noir-esque style. And again, you've seen it before. It's classic form of storytelling in cinema. It is. I liked it so much that I've bought it. So it must be good to me, at the very least. It's not. Again, it's not perfect. There is stuff. It's it's very much an acquired taste, I would say. It's not going to be for everybody. But again, it's available on YouTube if you want to give it a splash. I picked up the DVD for about 12 quid on eBay as well. It's a Region 2, so I got a Spanish title on it, but it will still work in local DVD players as we are Region 2. I don't think there's a Blu-ray. I don't think there's copies over here in any fashion other than being on YouTube. But I think if you're happy with the film after watching the blurry version, maybe dip in, or again, like I said, watch the English version, then go and just look at the quality of that Spanish version that's also on YouTube if you want to get a better look at some of the special effects, because the physical, practical special effects are excellent. I just think the design and the creation of them, the werewolf or the little demon or the gargoyle, or even if I don't particularly care for the big floppy seal monster, I still appreciate the work that's been put in, Oh, yeah. I did watch the trailer for Witch Hunt, and it does seem to be more of a digital special effects thing. So I'm kind of a bit like, I think you might have lost me a little bit there because it's all a lot of stuff just flying around and things. I'm like, but I like the practical stuff, like when he turns water into like gasoline, sets the guy on fire.
That was very good.
I love the bit where Clancy Brown is having a deal with the lead singer of his nightclub, and he's like, I'm going to go off, I'm going to get a record deal, fuck you, and all that. And he's like, yeah, go and get a record deal, touches his throat, says something, and then takes his hand away, and then the guy can only speak backwards.
Yeah, that was great. That was little things like that. Even just like after the scene where he's got the water and it turns to gasoline and all the cards and stuff, and he just looks at the mirror and goes, boo. Yeah. And then the mirror shatters out towards him.
Oh, gorgeous.
Great. Gorgeous. It's such a small little thing, but that's what this film is. It's just a series of small little things that are just really satisfying to watch.
Absolutely. I agree. The writing's good. The music's good. The acting is great. The direction is great.
Oh, yes.
It's solid for me. Again, it's an acquired taste. I think if you like noir stuff, I think you'll get what you want. If you're a Lovecraftian fan, I think you'll get what you want. It's probably not as overtly Lovecraftian as some other films you can find out there, but I think there's enough there. Even if you're just a fantasy, if you like things like, did you see Bright, the Netflix Bright, where it's like Will Smith's a cop and his partner's a troll and stuff like that?
No, we were saving. It was one of those we were saving, and apparently never got round to.
Okay, it's fine. It's fine. It's again like that. That is very much a cop story. It's a story about two cops on the beat.
Yeah.
But then there's these fantasy elements, and again, it's still very much a cop story. Like that's the grounded nature of it, but it does have these flights of fancy. So, I mean, I didn't mind it. Apparently, there's a sequel coming, probably not anytime soon with all the Oscar controversy. But, maybe one day we'll get it, possibly. Maybe not with Will Smith at the moment. Poor guy. I don't know how I feel about that.
Question mark? Sure. Yeah.
I'm still not sure exactly how I feel. I'm not condoning it. I'm not condemning it. I think it's a very complicated issue, and I'd rather not. There's a lot of people that are taking very strong stances on it, and I'm like, I don't know, because we don't know what might come out or what's going on. We don't know what's happening behind closed doors. We don't know what their relationship is like. Who knows? But
someone needs to sit on a sofa and have a chat.
Yeah, I think so. Like, we don't know where people's mental health, even the thing I was joking about with Ezra Miller and stuff, we don't know where his head's at, all the stuff he's been doing or saying. Or I have been paying attention to the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial, and it's everything that comes out about it. I'm like, this is just going to be awful. Yeah. I think both people should never have been together. I don't think they're a good couple. I don't think either of them are particularly good people necessarily. Again, I don't know, but from what I I gather that they're not. Neither of them have been particularly nice to each other.
Oh, God.
But it's just going to be an absolute slagging match. I think that court case. It's just going to be awkward, and everything that comes out, every witness that comes forward, it's just going to be like more like, oh no, this is not nice. It's a nasty, nasty, nasty thing.
No, having your life unraveled in front of public TV.
Yeah, well, I guess that's it as well. Like with the US court cases and stuff, they are very public, aren't they? They're very much, we don't necessarily have that here, even though we know what happens within the court case and what's said. We don't. It's not televised. It's not
the blow by blow of every single little detail.
Yeah, that would not be my favourite thing to occur. But yeah, it's nasty. It's just nasty and horrible, and all the details that are coming out are not great. But yes, is there anything else you would like to say about this film before we go on a very negative celebrity rant?
Yeah, I think just watch it. I think enjoy it, watch it. I'm instructing people to enjoy it now. That's
you better enjoy it.
You better enjoy it. I'm going to come and find you. Don't go in with preconceptions.
No, definitely go in with an open mind.
Yeah.
It's probably not something you would put on a Sunday, I'd say, no. I think when you're in the mood for it, if you're in the mood for a crime thriller, crime drama, noir story, pop it on like late Thursday night or 9 o'clock or something. It's an hour and a half, so it'll fly by because it's really entertaining. It's really fun. Before you know it's over. Again, it's free. You don't have to pay for it necessarily. I don't know if it's available. I've not checked if it's available to purchase or to rent on YouTube or Amazon or Apple.
I seem to remember you can buy it from somewhere. I'm not going to go into full detail of saying where because I will remember it incorrectly.
Sure.
But I'm sure I seem to remember somewhere you can.
Those are kind of the main places you go for that sort of stuff anyway, isn't it? Or Google or Android or wherever you buy your films and stuff from.
One of them top things on which people buy streaming things from.
Well said.
Again, I don't know what the accent was about. I don't know what's going on.
It's all about the accents. It's all about, well, I'm on the coffee, you're on the beer. Things happen. Things occur. But yeah, it's been really good talking about this with you. But I'm glad that you said at least give it a go, because I agree. I think, again, kind of know sort of what you're going in for, but also going with an open mind. There's a lot of fun to be had. You might not like it on the whole, but there'll be something in there you like. Like you said, the thing with the card, he keeps giving the dance studio's card out instead of his own. I love that. The tie is horrible, so people are like, oh yeah, I love that. Again, some of the dialogue's very snappy, where it's like, oh, did you kill that tie or something? And he was like, oh no,
sneak up on it.
I had to sneak up on it from behind. I love shit like that.
I'm being serious, Harry. Then why are you wearing that hat? Beautiful.
Like that for me is it's crisp, brilliant dialogue. Those are the jokes that really land for me. The ones, again, playing them absolutely straight, and they absolutely land. And I think Fred Ward is quite an underrated actor. I think Clancy Brown does his thing in this. David Warner does his thing. Julianne Moore does her femme fatale thing. Everybody's great. Everyone, I wouldn't say anything is like Oscar worthy or anything, but it's solid performance. They complete their job. They do exactly what they're required of them, and it's great. It's good fun.
That's it. I think everyone does what they need to do. Like the little henchman, whose apparently character name is Tugwell. I don't remember that referenced in the film, but apparently that's what it says. Just a small little part, and played perfectly.
Yeah, very menacing. I think that was my nickname in school as well.
Tugwell. There's so many things.
Things. No, that was the nickname my mum gave me when she walked in. Anyway, I think we have come to the end. I don't think there's anything else we want to what I want to say about it. I think we've said enough. I think go and give it a try, see what you think. I think it's worth at least trying, even if it's not particularly down to your tastes. But again, we're recording months early, so
yes,
all of the stuff we've said could have aged terribly now.
Every topical thing we have said
is going to be like,
what are
they were like, I've forgotten about the Will Smith. The court case with Amber Heard and Johnny Depp is over. What are you guys on about? So we are recording this in what are we on? April? We're in April, yes.
Yes.
So we're recording in April, but it's going to come out in June, kind of mid-June. So if there are any dated references, you know why. If we're different people, who knows what has happened? We might change jobs, locations.
We may have swapped. I may be you, you may be me.
Yeah, we may. That would be an interesting spell. That would certainly, because I can't ride a motorbike to save my life.
No, I can't. I wouldn't be able to say any of the words that you said about this film to save my life. This would have been a very short podcast.
No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. But I have to say, definitely check out Fantastic Universes, one of my favorite podcasts. I loved being on Paul's podcast because he let me fucking go off on one, is what I would say. Because I just went, it was like, I'll just ask you like a question. And he asked me one question and I talked for about 40 minutes and then he asked another one.
I seem to remember this was mid-lockdown and I don't think you'd seen anyone for a little while.
That is true, yeah. So I was like, there's a human here.
Yes,
must take full advantage. I can speak my mind. I did work from home at the time. I was working for John Lewis, returns and refunds. I was being underpaid. There was a lot of stuff going on, so I kind of went off on one, but it wasn't like negative, not in a negative way, but it was nice because what I like about it, the podcast itself, like you absolutely, I left you a lovely review the other day as well on your podcast.
Did, thank you very much.
And I mean every word. I think there's so many kind of podcasters out there which, much like myself, just fucking babble and prattle on as I'm prone to do. But Paul is an absolute god of listening and to take stuff in and to respond and just kind of breathe in that and listen and move the conversation on in a natural way. There's not like set questions. He's got a vague idea and kind of vague questions, but he doesn't know necessarily where the conversation is going to go. And he's very good at not manipulating, but going with the flow of what the conversation is, and
it's very kind of you,
and making sure that person is heard. And again, like, my podcast tends to be focused on films. I do talk about politics, but it's usually in the frame of a film or, personal stuff within the frame of, a top 5 or a comparison, whatever. So it was really nice to actually like be really open and honest about myself and who I was and who I've been and who I am now and things I've gone through, things I felt. And it was almost like a bit of a therapy sesh, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, it was a really nice chat. It was nice to have I keep quoting him, but Aussie Steve Conroy, Retro Project, he describes his podcast as a giant con job because he just wants to talk to great people. And that's basically what it is. Sure. It's a great excuse to have conversations with lovely people such as yourself, and it was a great conversation. Yeah.
All your guests have been really open and honest as well, and I love that. And I love that you bring that out of them as well. It's one of my favorite kind of podcast formats or podcasts in general. So I think there's so much more to be mined there. I think you're only going to excel and continue with your growth because I love it, and I listen to all the different voices, and it's just great stuff. And again, all the super dummy stuff is great. Like you're coming in not knowing much about certain characters, and even stuff I don't know about the characters. I'm like, oh shit, yeah, that's actually something I didn't know. So fuck me, and I know quite a bit. Not in an arrogant way, but I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty well versed in Swamp Thing, or but and I love it. So I have to recommend both of those podcasts. Absolutely, a lot of fun, and you'll get a lot out of it, and more so than maybe this show or some other shows. Everyone's different, and everyone has a different take and a different vibe. But I really love the stuff that you're doing, Paul. So where can they find you? And your podcast?
Flatter me. You're just too kind. I don't know what to say after all those wonderful words. I feel like I need to spend 20 minutes telling you how wonderful you are, because that was very nice. Thank you very much.
No, you've made me feel wonderful enough just for your presence of being here. But please Please.
Too kind.
People want to now listen off the back of my words, my review, and my opinions. They want to listen to you and your stuff. So where can people find it?
You can tell how rubbish I am at self-plugging. So Era of Geek is the wonderful podcast, if I do say so myself, that Dan is talking about. New episodes on a feed of its own now. So if you do a search for Era of Geek, we have our own little feed, some wonderful people. Where are we with June? I haven't planned that far ahead.
No.
So I don't know who you're going to listen to.
Well, I mean, what about some of the episodes that are out right now, for example?
Well, just as of speaking, yes, I'll give you an exclusive. So coming up, or in the past, if you're listening, because,
time travel.
So there's Ben from Star Wars Timeline. He's a wonderful person.
Oh, yes, absolutely, yeah.
He moved to New York at a young age from Russia. We talk a lot about Soviet-era cinema and what it's like growing up in the former Soviet republics and the way that geek culture really came over there and the way that they found it. Apparently, there were rumors when Star Wars came over to Russia that there was actually like 20-something episodes and they were only allowed to see 3. There you go. And then coming up is Tim Lapatino. He is an author. He wrote a book about Pac-Man. He's written a book, The Art of Atari. He looks at the history of Atari, the people, and the literal art of Atari behind the scenes. Lots of wonderful people. BZ The Voice, who many of you, if you listen to Comics in Motion, would no doubt know about. We're always shouting about his stuff. He's a great voice actor, filmmaker. Yes, Kevin Conran. I always get the names confused. Kevin Conran and Kevin Conroy, for obvious reasons. But Kevin Conran is the co-creator of Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow. The art director behind that. And I had a wonderful chat with him as well. So that is available. Yeah, loads of amazing people from all different walks of life. It's great.
Absolutely. Have you got another Super Dummy episode coming up?
His Super Dummy is sort of on a slight break. We're coming up
hiatus.
Yes, because poor old Steve, who is our nerd Yoda. Mm-hmm. Every episode basically involves 3 weeks of research for him.
Right.
And then we record for about 2 or 3 hours. So we're tweaking it slightly to reduce the load.
Yeah, fair enough.
But as of this coming out, we may be coming back to life. So if that is the case, head over to Comics in Motion for that one. Superheroes for Dummies runs on Comics in Motion. Era of Geek now on its own thing. So go to both those places and hopefully you will find me somewhere.
I will leave all the links in the show notes, as I always do. Check Paul out in all of those places, all of that goodness. We love Comics in Motion and the Star Wars timeline as well.
Indeed.
I met him on our Book of Boba Fett podcast on Comics in Motion with Mike of Genuine Chit Chat. All these great creators, all this great content coming at you from all different directions. Check all of those guys out because they're all fantastic and do some unique and interesting stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So that's it. That's it, really. Unless there's anything else you wanted to say at all? Or?
Just thank you for having me on. This is the first time I've really done a movie podcast. I was very nervous, filled with anxiety, throwing into buckets, but not literally. I wasn't throwing it. No, it's been very, very fun. So thank you so much for wasting your time on some super dummy.
Well, I'm glad I could have you. You're not a super dummy. You are an amazing person. So I'm glad you could
it takes one
find
to
the time. True. I am amazing. Thank you for watching it 3 times. You didn't have to do that, but I do appreciate that.
Wow.
That you've done the effort, you've done the research. Maybe I'll go off and watch Witch Hunt now and see what that's like. And maybe
I'm definitely going to watch that.
Maybe that'll be worse or better. I love Dennis Hopper, but I like Paul Schrader, so I don't know. But is it going to be a good sequel? Is it pseudo sequel?
The communism bit makes me worry.
We could see some interesting things. Dennis Hopper is, as much as I like him, he can be problematic as well. There you go. But so I'll do my social media then, if you don't mind.
I suppose I will let you.
You'll let me. You'll allow this. I'll allow it.
I'll allow it on this one occasion. Again, the accent. I don't know what's going on.
I love that you're throwing all these accents at me. It's usually like I just did Femme on Film with Rio, and I was doing all the Southern American accents and Irish accents. In my sex scene podcast, I was doing a lot of singing for some reason. I don't know why, but there was a lot of singing in that one.
I feel like I've missed out now. You didn't sing at me once.
No, I did not. Well, you have to go back and listen to that podcast now. So
there you go.
Hear all the sexy sing-songing that I did in that particular podcast. And yeah, if you're into weird sex scenes, that's the podcast for you. Anyway, you can find me at Secret Balls on Facebook. It's at Dan_Balls on Twitter. Instagram, it's at SpiderDan Secret Balls. Review, like, share, comment, subscribe, etc. And don't forget to use the hashtag prepare for Prattle when you interact with us. If you want to join the Prattalion and to be briefed in full on the Secret Balls, swing over to Prattle World on the World Wide Web at www.spiderdandandsecretballs.com. That's BORES. I'd like to thank my patrons on Patreon. I am Jack's Musings, Paul Meller, Max Burns, Scott Hodgson, Simon Cottam, Mike Burton, and Angry Andy Reviews. For their continuing donations, it is very much appreciated and helps Prattle World keep on turning. And if you're ever in a position to help out the podcast and to donate, please consider it. Thanks again, Paul. You have been a magical, wonderful, wizarding guest on Wizard Month.
Oh, I see what you did there. You're just so beautiful.
So are you. So Paul has cast his spell on you. Whether it was deadly or not, we'll let you decide. But I hope you guys are enjoying Wizard Month. We've got 2 more to go. Woo-hoo. And they're going to be interesting. You're going to see. They're going to be something a bit different. So thank you again, Paul. And
thank you so much.
I'm going to wizardly wave goodbye to you. Goodbye.
Bye.